Good evening. Welcome to our parent-student meeting for Upper Columbia Academy as we plan to reopen here in a few weeks on our campus. It has been a crazy busy summer, but one that through it all, I have seen God work in many, many ways. Thank you for taking some time to join us this evening. And if you're watching this live or if you're watching this recorded later, I pray it's helpful information as you make decisions regarding the future of your child. Before we begin, I'd like to offer a word of prayer. If you could bow your heads with me. Father in heaven, Lord, thank you for this opportunity tonight to connect, to visit, to share, to dialogue in a format, Father, virtually, to share about our plans for Upper Columbia Academy. Lord, guide our conversation and bless us, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen. So before I go into our plans, I would like to read you a quote that has been very much, I have very much appreciate this quote, and I will share with you why as I discuss further tonight our plans for Upper Columbia Academy. This quote is from C.S. Lewis, and it was authored it was said in 1948 when C.S. Lewis was asked about the atomic bomb and the threats of living in an atomic age. And here is his quote. How are we to live in an atomic age? I am tempted to reply, why, as you would have lived in the 16th century when the plague visited London almost every year, or as you would have lived in the Viking Age when raiders from Scandinavia might land and cut your throat any night, or indeed as you are already living in an age of cancer, an age of syphilis, an age of paralysis, an age of air raids, an age of railway accidents, an age of motor accidents. In other words, do not let us begin by exaggerating the novelty of our situation. Believe me, dear sir or madam, you and all whom you love were already sentenced to death before the atomic bomb was invented. And quite a high percentage of us were going to die in unpleasant ways. We have indeed one very great advantage over our ancestors, and that is anesthetics. It is perfectly ridiculous to go about whimpering and drawing long faces because the scientists have added one more chance of painful and premature death to a world which already bristled with such chances, and in which death itself was not a chance at all, but a certainty. This is the first point to be made, and the first action to be taken is to pull ourselves together. If we are all going to be destroyed by an atomic bomb, let that bomb, when it comes, find us doing sensible and human things, praying, working, teaching, reading, listening to music, bathing the children, playing tennis, not huddled like frightened sheep and thinking about bombs. They may break our bodies, but they need not dominate our minds. As I read through this, I shared this with our staff last week as we dialogued about our plans for this coming year. And I see many similarities. I see a world in which we are living that is captivated by fear in many regards. And yes, here at Upper Columbia Academy, we are going to take every safeguard we can to ensure that both our staff and our students are kept as safe as possible. But I want to be very clear this evening. We are going to live life here at Upper Columbia Academy. We believe that engaging students in authentic, in-person, real learning is not just something that can be cast aside, but it is essential. It is essential to their development, to the whole person development that we're focused on here at Upper Columbia Academy. And while, yes, there are risks, we believe that it is more important that the students be able to be offered an environment in which we can pray together in person, we can laugh together, we can dialogue together, and we can grow together here on this campus. So that is our plan as we go forward. Tonight, I want to take some time and I'm going to detail to you what that's going to look like. And before I go into it this evening, I want to preface by saying that the information we are sharing tonight is based on all of our knowledge and all of the data that we have up until today, Monday, August 3. But as you're well aware, our world is changing so quickly. And I want to share with you that if new things happen, if other developments occur in the coming weeks, we may have to amend or modify our plans. If we do, we will share that with you at that time. I liken in many ways dealing with the coronavirus and COVID-19 on our campus to riding in a car. We all know that when you get into a car and I drive from Spangle to Spokane, I take a certain risk. I take a certain risk that I could be involved in a car accident and my life may end. But before I get in that car, I take certain safety precautions. I put on my seatbelt. While I'm driving the car, I try to abide by the safety rules such as speed limit and things of that nature. On this campus, we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to take safety precautions. We're going to try to do everything we can to ensure that kids are safe, but we're still going to drive the car. We're still going to operate school here at Upper Columbia Academy. Before I go into the details of the plan, I would like to take a few minutes and share with you some of the other aspects of our campus for this fall and some of the things that are happening with our program, because we will not be having our informational parent meeting as we typically do on registration day. Many of you guys are aware that Sarah Holloway, our former equestrian director, has taken another position, has left our campus. And I'm pleased to share with you that Luke Torquato will be joining our team as our equestrian coordinator. He is currently coordinating the program at Miveden. And he will be joined by Holly Hager, who will be operating as our equestrian coach. I'm excited about the direction our equestrian program is going and looking forward to engaging with our students in that program as they bring their horses here, as we continue to offer horsemanship and lessons here on this campus. You will know that back in the spring, we launched the UCA Bakery, and our plan is to continue operating that this fall. We've decided that due to the uncertainties of life and where we are right now, we're going to pause for first quarter in launching that bakery full scale. Our plan is to launch that towards the middle to latter part of October, but at the beginning of the year, all of our efforts and all of our focus is going to be on just here at Upper Columbia Academy and not launching the bakery at this time. We have been working this summer on remodeling and renovating the powerhouse. Many of you are aware we received a grant of $130,000 to operate a counseling center on our campus. Now more than ever, I believe this is vital for our students to have opportunities to go to visit with a Christian counselor here on site. We will not have to drive students to Spokane. We will have this available for them. We're going to roll our guidance, our testing, our career counseling all under one umbrella. And our former head girls dean, Stephanie Gladding, is going to be stepping into the role of facilitator of this program. The counseling center will be directed by our guidance counselor on campus, Michelle Melindy. I'm excited about what this will how this will have an impact on our campus and be a blessing for our students. We're going to continue this coming year with the cell phone policy that we instigated this last year. We found that even though it was difficult at the beginning, over the course of the year, our students actually verbalized to our deans, to our staff, that the policy actually helped them sleep better by taking the phones away. So we're going to continue with that policy of having the phones in a charging capacity, in a charging case in each dorms. They'll be collected in the evening at 10 o'clock and then be allowed to be picked up, I believe at 5:30 is where we're at in the morning. Outside of that, the same policy will be in effect this year. Cell phones can be used throughout campus, except in classrooms and in the AB building. We're going to continue as well with our substance policy that we initiated a couple years ago. We want to take a firm stance on making sure that parents and students both understand that our utmost goal is to provide a safe campus for our students. And we have developed a policy that I believe is filled with grace, yet also filled with accountability. And so just in case you do not know what our policy is, if any student at any time is struggling with an addiction or are using any type of substance, such as alcohol, tobacco, vaping, anything like that, they can confide in any staff member, and that will not be their ticket out of UCA, but rather that will be their ticket to get help. And we will enter them into a program and we will work with them. But if a student is on our campus and they are using, they are providing, they are engaged in that activity, and they are not desiring to come forward and get help, that will be their ticket to leave UCA for a minimum period of 6 months, while hopefully they can get some needed counseling, and then they are free to reapply after that 6-month window of time. We have had to alter our plan for athletics this year. As many of you know, we're a member of the WIAA, which is the Washington Interscholastic, Washington Interscholastic Sports Association or something like that. I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head. I've lost it. But they have decided that they are going to move sports to second semester. And so basketball for us, our interscholastic basketball, will begin in January. And that will be followed by volleyball and soccer beginning in March. Those are, as of right now, contingency plans. We will be updated in the fall if things change. But right now, our plan is to begin those sports on our campus in second semester. Our new athletic director, Ryan Irwin, is currently working through a new schedule with the athletic directors in the league that we participate in. First semester is going to be full of a vibrant intramural program where we're engaging our student body in lots of different fun intramural activities, such as flag football, soccer, volleyball, lots of fun things that we'll be competing as a school family, but our interscholastic sports will start second semester. I would like to now begin by walking you through our reopening plan. This document will be emailed to all of our families who are currently registered at UCA. You'll be able to walk through this document yourself, but I want to take some time tonight to go through it, to explain it, and to hopefully answer any questions you might have. And on that note of questions, as you're watching this evening, if you have a comment, if you have a question, you are free to type in that question in the chat box. And at the end of this meeting, I will try my best to answer it. I have both our deans. I have our head boys dean, Joe Hess, and our head girls dean, Danny Rivera, on this presentation with me this evening, live. So if you have a question, general school related, or a question specific to one of the dorms that I'm unable to answer, they will be available at the end of my talk to hopefully answer those questions for you. I wanted to begin by talking about how we're going to operate our screening process on campus. We are currently working on developing an app that will be able to have students using their smartphones, or if they do not have a smartphone, using their laptop computer that we issue, and they will answer 6 questions each day before they come to school. Those questions will be questions that ask them if they have any aches, any nausea, any fever, and basically a screening process so that we can determine if there are any students who have any potential symptoms of the virus. In addition to the screening questions, each student will be asked to have their temperature taken on a daily basis before they come to school. For our dormitory students, this will happen in the dorm before they leave the dorm to go to breakfast. For our village students, we're going to empower our village parents to both assist in the screening as well as to take this temperature of the students so that we don't have a long line of students waiting in the ad building to get their temperatures checked. The school has procured several of the touchless handheld thermometers that our deans will be using to take temperatures with. I want to try my best to walk you through what will happen if a student tests positive, not test positive, but a student either A, has a fever, or B, doesn't answer no to all 6 of the health screening questions. If they answer yes to any of those questions, or if they have a fever, they will be placed in a quarantine room. We're establishing quarantine rooms in each of our dormitories. At that time, our school nurse will come, and will evaluate them to see if a test is needed. We have been working with the Spokane Health Department, and we are going to be able to test students here on campus with the testing being administered by our school nurse. The tests have a turnaround time of 24 hours. During the time in which the student is being tested and they are waiting for the results, they're going to need to be in a quarantine room. And they will then just immediately transition to distance learning using the laptop computer that we have issued. And they will be joining their classes remotely via Microsoft Teams. I want to be clear, quarantine does not mean isolation and does not mean that they can never leave their room. What it does mean is they will need to be separated from the rest of the students. So when they go get their food, if they go outside, if they're doing different things, they will not be able to be involved in any contact with any other student during that time. Once we determine that a student is needing a test or they have answered a yes to one of the health screening questions, we will then go and we will identify their roommate if they're a dorm student and very close associates. And we will also administer tests, to them in a process to determine if there has been any potential spread of this. On the back of the document that you'll be emailed is a flow chart that we have developed. I'm not going to take the time this evening during this presentation to walk you through all of the different scenarios that could happen, but when you get this, you'll be able to read it yourself and to see the steps that we will be going through once a student has identified as potentially being COVID positive. Another issue, another item that we are going to be implementing here on this campus is wearing of face coverings. Being very open with you and candid, this is not something that I enjoy, but it is something that we must do. It is a necessity for us to have in-person learning. And so many of us will have masks similar to this throughout the day. And this will be the normal on our campus in inside of buildings. I'm not going to wear this the entire time. It's hard to talk with it. But when students are inside of a building, with the exception of their dormitory room or in the hallway of their dorm headed to the bathroom, they're going to need to have a face covering on. I will share with you that it does not need to be a mask like I have here. We've been given permission by the Spokane Health Department to allow kids to use buffs. If you know what those are, you can buy them. They go around your neck, and a kid can simply pull it up or pull it down very easily. We've been working with different companies. We're potentially going to order some of those with UCA emblem on them, but we would encourage families to have kids bring several of those that they can use throughout the week and while they have some that are being washed. It's important that we do our very best to adhere to this. While on campus, while students are outside, they will not need to have a mask on. Only inside of buildings. And also, for obvious reasons, once students get their food in the cafeteria, they can remove their mask as well. I want to talk a little bit about hygiene. We have been working with a few companies, and we have ordered 50 units that are ones where you can put the hand sanitizer inside of it and just push a lever at the bottom and have some squirt out in your hand. And we're going to be assembling these throughout all of our restrooms in different places around campus. In addition to that, we've ordered 13 of the stand-up units that are battery operated, where you just walk up to it, put your hand under it, and you can get some hand sanitizer on your hand that way. And those will be in the AB building, the dorms, cafeteria, gym, different places like that. It's very important that we convey to our students the importance of washing your hands regularly and using good hygiene. We're going to have a dedicated janitorial position on campus that is going to be just responsible for cleaning high contact surfaces, for going throughout the day, cleaning door handles, different places where students touch regularly to try to minimize the spread of germs on our campus. We're going to try to operate school with our windows in the classrooms open as long as weather permits, to allow for fresh air and to allow for having that additional safeguard of outside as much as we can. And even some classes are going to go outside to hold class if they're able. I'm sad to share this evening that we are not going to be able to run the Spokane van this year due to having kids on a regular daily basis in a very tight space each and every day. So the Spokane van, the shuttle that we've been operating for students that live in Spokane, we're not going to be able to operate that for first semester. Our hope is to potentially offer it second semester, but we'll have to see on how that goes. We've worked to position the classrooms in a manner that the desks are going to be as close to 6 feet apart as we physically can possibly do. In some classes, we're not going to be able to get exactly that, but most of the classrooms we will. But I want to be real clear with you. While we will make every attempt to have social distancing inside the classrooms, life on our campus, we will not be 6 feet apart at all times here at UCA. Life will happen. We are planning on operating our gymnastics team. That obviously cannot happen with students being socially distant. Students will wear face coverings while they're participating, but with intramurals, with gymnastics, with different events of that nature, we will not always have 6 feet of social distancing on our campus, but we will try to maintain that inside of the classrooms. We are fully planning on having senior survival. We're planning on having Lake Day happen as normal. Our choir and our band will be meeting. We are working to make some adjustments to how they operate The band will begin probably practicing with sectionals. And then when they do practice all together, and we're looking at potentially moving them to the old cafeteria. The choir is looking at potentially moving to the church to practice in a space that is larger for them to practice in. We will have no tours first semester. So none of our groups will tour anywhere first semester. We are planning on having all of our tours and all of our events happen second semester. But for first semester, none of those will happen. We've decided to move the Fox concert that was scheduled for December to May. It will happen on Sunday, May 23, and it will be a spring concert this year instead of a Christmas concert. We are still planning to have a Christmas concert with our music department. It will be produced live here on campus, and we're going to stream it to our community, to our parents, our churches, so you can participate in that. We are also planning to hold amateur hour this fall on campus, but it will not be open to the public or to parents or grandparents to come. It will be open only to students and to our staff, and we will again live stream that for everyone to participate in. This year, like last year, we're going to begin the school year with a week of prayer. These will be daily meetings, and I'm excited to share with you that our new church pastor, Pastor Kevin Wilfley, will be our speaker each day for that. We are planning to operate Sabbath school and church each Sabbath live in person here at UCA. The UCA church has decided to move to holding two services. They will hold an early service at 9 o'clock for the community members and for those members who are more at at-risk age group. Then we will transition and have an 11 o'clock service just for our UCA students. During the fall, as long as we're able, we plan to hold church outside. I'm sad to share with you that we will not have any guest rooms available on campus first semester. We are going to have the guest rooms available during registration weekend, but after that, we're not going to be able to have any guests coming and staying on campus. Our registration this year is going to look a little different. Registration is going to be held on the front of campus. We're going to have stations positioned under trees, so they'll have shade, and this way we will not have everyone coming to registration and packing inside the gym, but we will be spread out outside on the front of campus. We will again provide both lunch and supper for both parents and students, but it will be a sack lunch and a sack supper, and we will not be eating inside the cafeteria for that first day. Our handshake this year, our welcome back handshake, will also look a little different, but our ASB sponsors are working with our ASB officers to plan a fun, exciting event for our students. We are also planning on having class night happen this year as well. We may have everything up on the field, but there will be fun events and class night will be held. I want to share with you that students may still sign out. They may still leave campus to go home for the weekend, for overnight leaves. Parents will need to approve those per our normal policy. Our cafeteria is going to be transitioning. We will not be a self-serve cafeteria any longer. We are also going to have 2 different lunch times for our students to come during lunch so we can minimize packing in during the cafeteria during that really busy lunchtime. We've revised our attendance policy to allow students to miss school because they are sick and still be eligible for perfect attendance. I want to share with you that if any student at any time or parent feels more comfortable with online and distance learning, they may choose to opt into that and transition to an online environment. They will just need to notify us every day. That will be operational in our classrooms, and so students and parents can make that choice for what is best for them. Our home leaves this year will happen as scheduled and as planned. We've talked through this, and our belief is that parents need to see their children, and that is important. And to keep them here for an extended period of time without any contact is more detrimental than the risk we might run of having kids go to their homes. Village students will also be allowed to come and go, and they will be allowed to be here on campus, obviously going through the same screening process that all of our other dorm students go through each day. We are not planning on transitioning to distance learning at all this year. We are not planning on transitioning after Thanksgiving break to Christmas. We are planning on operating a normal calendar. We saw the effects that kids who are doing well in school and they transitioned to distance learning, many kids saw a dramatic decrease in their academic performance due to that. And so we want to minimize that as much as possible this year. I want to share with you that UCA is experiencing a significant increase in interest from students from all over the West Coast. And for that, we say praise God. Currently, our expected enrollment as of right now is about 245 students. But daily, we're receiving more and more calls from students and individuals who are looking at UCA as a viable option. In consultation with our superintendent here at Upper Columbia Conference, and in dialogue here at UCA with some of my administrative team, we have made a decision that due to the need to have spacing here on our campus, we are going to cap our enrollment this year at 260 students. Yes, UCA could accommodate 300 potentially, but due to the need to have some dorm rooms free, to have smaller class sizes, we have decided to make that decision. And this will be a hard cap. There will be no exceptions for first semester. And so I just wanted to share with you that if you're looking at UCA, you're interested in UCA, to go ahead and go through that application process as soon as possible. I want to share, as I close, that Upper Columbia Academy exists for one reason. We exist to connect these students to a saving relationship with Jesus Christ. Life on this campus this year will look different. There will be some new safety precautions that we put into place. There will be some things that we have to do to safeguard and to take those necessary precautions. But my staff, as we've dialogued, we are 100% united in the fact that we need to be here. We need to be live. We need to be in person. And so we have zero plans to transition to a distance learning. Yes, we have that available. Yes, we can if needed. But all of our planning, all of our discussion is moving forward to an in-person learning environment. And my prayer as principal here is that if UCA is the place where your son or daughter comes this year, that they won't just make friends, that they won't just have good learning, but they will come to know and to love Jesus Christ as their absolute best friend. That's why we're here. We make no bones about it. We're not ashamed about it. That is why we exist. So thank you for taking some time with me this evening. I hope it's been beneficial as I've walked through these things. I'm going to take some time now, if there's any questions, to answer some of those questions. And I've got my deans on here as well to answer some of those. So Joe, Danny, Joe, go ahead. Transition over to Joe Hess. You're muted, Joe.
I like to hear myself talk, and I can't believe I muted myself. Thank you. Hey, just wanted to go over some things as we've been checking the chat here. Just a clarification that somebody brought up. Mr. Johnson said that the sports will start second semester. It's actually based on our calendar a little bit before second semester. So if you're making a decision like I want to play basketball, you will be about 2.5 weeks behind if you wait to come until second semester. So I was asked just to clarify that. It starts at the very end of Christmas break. At that time, we still have a few weeks left of our first semester. Questions about masks on campus and in the dorm. At this point, we don't plan on wearing masks at outside events or being outside. In the dormitories, in what we're calling common areas. So the dean's office, the lobby, and the chapels during worship or when there's groups there are places in the dormitories that we will need to have masks or face coverings on. A couple questions about face shields. Face shields are allowed. You need some kind of covering at the bottom of the face shield, whether it's a buff, whether it's something connected to the bottom of it. That was just guidance from our local health department there if you choose to wear a face shield. Question with some people having issues with asthma and other breathing issues, what we need is a note from your doctor guiding us on how, in that case, to deal with that specific student. And so if there are some breathing issues, we need some communication with our doctor. If they want to give us a call, they should contact our nurse, Cindy Williams, directly. If they want to write a note, we can take that as well. Mr. Johnson mentioned that weekend leaves are still a go. If people want to check out and go home for the weekend and go to a friend's house for the weekend, that's fine. We will not have any daytime leave. So this includes like Sunday during the day. You can't just check out and go somewhere for the day. We're only doing overnight leaves. And the reason for that is we're kind of in a family group here. And when kids go to homes overnight, they're in a family group. But going and just coming and going to town is something that we want to avoid, at least at this time to start the school year. When we go back to Mr. Johnson here in a moment, a couple things that he's gonna cover are face coverings in the gymnasium and playing sports in the gymnasium, what they look like, as well as just some financial help for people and families who may be struggling with parents out of work during this time. But before we go to Mr. Johnson, Dean Danny, is there anything else that we need to cover?
I don't think so. I think you got it all.
Awesome. So Mr. Johnson, if you could cover those two things about financial and then masks as we're playing in the gymnasium as opposed to outside.
Thank you, Dean Hess. So regarding finances, I will share with you, I'm starting my 5th year here at Upper Columbia Academy, and there has yet to be a student and a family who is convicted that God is leading them here to UCA that we have not been able to make it work for financially. So my first question would be, if in your own prayer time, if you feel God calling you here to UCA, then get in touch with our business office. We have many, many generous donors who are more than willing to engage and to help students to be here at Upper Columbia Academy. So we serve a big God, and I believe that finances should be no reason not to come to UCA. We will find a way to make that happen for you if in your heart you feel like this is where God is calling you to come. Our plan right now for our athletic activity in the gym is for athletes who are participating in the actual sport not to be wearing a mask, but spectators who might be sitting on the stage or walking around to have a mask on. That is where we're at. If we're playing up on the gym, up on the field, as again I said, any outside activity, mask will not be required. And I want to also share, I know the masks are a significant issue. This is literally a week by week and a month by month process. We will be evaluating this. And as we receive guidance regarding this, if there are changes we can make to modify that, we will. This document that I am going to be emailing out that I've gone through, we have sat with our school nurse, with our director of the Spokane Health Department, along with the top epidemiologist here in Spokane. And they've walked through this, they've signed off on this document. And so we're going to be going through our reopening in consultation with them and in partnership with them. Are there any other questions at all? Joe Hess, let's go back to Joe for just a minute.
All right, a few more questions continue to come in, some great questions. Mr. Johnson mentioned no tours, no field trips and things like that. We will be doing things where we are going out as a school group. Our plan is to do junior backpacking. Our plan is to do freshman retreat, to do senior survival, and even to do our lake day at Camp Mivenden, since we'll be going out in a school group for those things. Those are our plans to do that. A question here that was a great question, and it may become a little more clear or a little muddier when you get emailed to you our plan to reopen. And that is, are you going to test students that were exposed to the symptomatic students, even if they don't have the symptoms? We have a nice semi-confusing flow chart set up for us. And so if a roommate has some symptoms, we're going to assess those via our nurse. And if those symptoms are something that make us nervous, we will pull the roommate in until we can figure it out. We won't necessarily test everyone right off the bat, but if we need to, we will. And like Mr. Johnson mentioned, those tests are being provided to us by the Spokane County Health District. As soon as we get this email out to you, on the back of it is a flow chart kind of guiding us as staff and the nurse on how to deal with those things. And so let me check here real quick. A lot of questions. We are having music. I know we mentioned band. We still plan to have choir and choraleers as well. And registration day, a lot of questions about registration day. As Mr. Johnson mentioned, right now our plans to have it outside. We're still developing some more plans to make things as smooth as possible, not just for the lines, but moving into dorms and having a lot of people in one area. And so we're going to go back to Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Dean Hess. A few more questions. Home leave dates are going to be the same. We are not altering home leave dates. Those will be the same, and so as printed in our calendar. In addition, those students who are engaged in our satellite program at Lake City Academy, that will operate as normal and as planned. And so I had a couple questions regarding that. Any other questions at all?
You know, just real quick, I think as far as village students going through the app each day and getting their temperature taken, I think we're going to enlist the help of our parents to help take those temperatures at home before they come. And there was a great question here about, if a village student wants to come and attend Sabbath school or church at UCA, obviously they're part of our family. We want them to come. We will be asking on Sabbath morning to fill those out as well.
Yes.
And if they're village before they come. Homely buses are still planning on going. So Mr. Johnson, a good question here. If Spokane goes back to phase 1, what does that change for us? Maybe you can start when we go back to you by answering that.
Thank you. If Spokane goes back to phase 1, we will still operate as normal. The only way we will not operate is if we are instructed by the governor, and it is an absolute mandate. And even then, we will work to work through that in a process that will allow for in-person instruction here on this campus. Private music lessons, we are planning on those happening as well. And we are working through that to happen in a manner that they can operate, not really in a close environment, but a distance environment. But yes, private music lessons will happen. Hope Days, we are planning for Hope Days to happen. They will look a little different because we probably will not be taking all the kids into the community, but rather we may be doing some things here on campus or locally that will not be engaging the students in contact with our community members. But we do plan on continue with our Hope Days because we feel that service is vital. Students cannot stay on home leave during a home leave. They are not going to be able to stay here during home leaves. Those are breaks for our staff as well, unless we have dire circumstances that are just simply unavoidable. And we will work with you during those times. I did want to say as well that if you have a son or daughter who tests positive and they are placed in a 14-day quarantine, you have the option. We have gotten this approved by the health department for that individual to go back to your home, for that student to go back to your home if you would like, or they can stay here. We will work with you in either fashion, whatever works best for you in that case and in that scenario. I think that's all of the questions that I'm seeing come through. Again, thank you so very much. Thank you, Dean Hess, Dean Rivera, for being here. And we're going to continue to dialogue with you. Please email us, give us a call if you have any questions at all going forward. And we look forward to seeing you here on our campus Sunday, August 23. We're going to begin at 10 o'clock in the morning. But we're going to be open all through the day till 4 o'clock in the afternoon for registration. So there's no parent meeting in the morning that day, so there's no need to all show up at the same time. You can come throughout the day and we'll register, and then we're going to have worship together as a school family that evening and kick off our school year. Let's bow our heads and we'll ask God to be with us as we close our meeting here. Father, thank you for this time that we've been able to share, to connect. Father, I pray a special blessing on families that have been on this meeting here this evening. Lord, guide them, as some of them may be looking to make decisions, Father, major decisions for where your will is for their son or daughter for this school year. Father, lead us here at Upper Columbia Academy. Keep us ever faithful. Keep us ever focused on you in everything we say and do. Lord, thank you for your love. In your name we pray. Amen. Guys, good night. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.